Hi, I'm Phil Bridges, owner of Straight Arrow Repair. Ever want to know how a repairman fixes things? Well, come with me and I'll show you how I solve problems. Let's make things better together. All right. Now we're going to do the mains. If you notice, this is not, you don't have to do it this way, but there's a lot of different ways you can do it. I'm going to do what they did in the rest of the house, which is to put a main every 2 feet. You don't have to do that. You can do 4 foot, and then a 4 foot T, and then a 4 foot T in the middle of the 2 foot. And so you could literally use less mains, but the rest of the house was done that way, so we're going to do it on every 2 feet. And I've marked it up here, not down here, so I have to clean it up. That way I know where to set it. And that is where the mains are going to go. I've done that on both sides on the premise that this is fairly square. And there are ways to square. And one of the things that we have to deal with is we have to support those mains. The mains these holes here are where your wires go through to support any of these holes, not this one. This is where your T's come in. So your round holes are your support wires, where you have all these choices. Do you have to be directly above? No, you don't. You can be at an angle one way or the other. So your support wires, I'm going to put about every 4 to 6 feet on this. And in order to do that, we have from Lowe's suspension ceiling hanging wire. And I've seen people hang it with, this is real low. You can bend it. It's not real easy to bend, but you don't want it to be easy. But I've seen people do it with baling wire. It's not as good as that, but baling wire can be used. Now, how do you fasten it? Okay. On a commercial job where you have concrete floor above, you use a ram set gun with a pin that has these type of holes in it. And this is lag screws. So these are spun into wood, which if you have woods above you, you can do that. And they actually make a suspended ceiling lag screw driver. And that thing has that slot in there for that to screw the lags into. So that's what we're going to do next. You want to set that up? Okay, you're on?
Yeah.
Okay, so the driver's in the impact gun. It can be a drill. This has a slot in it. Can you see that?
Yeah, I see that.
Okay, so we're going to put that in the slot. We're going to find the floor joist on the bottom of this mobile home. Line it up with that 2 foot area. There we go. We got a place to hang the wire. Let's see. Probably put another one right here.
It was kind of hard to find. Easier to see with your eyes than the camera. I was lining up with this mark right here. He made it.
It's on the floor joist in that mobile home there. Really can't put too many.
Doesn't hurt.
I guess not.
But we do it every 2 feet.
No, it's way too much support. Doesn't have that much weight on it.
technically speaking, Lewis Hamilton qualified P8, but the guy was in P1 that qualified P1.
The guys in P1.
The guy that qualified P1, his car broke down at the start of the race, so they retired his car, which was Ferrari.
Lewis Hamilton is not as good as drivers he thinks he is, and everybody tells him that. He needs to stop listening to everybody and pay attention to the game. All right. So we're going to do that on every place that we're putting the mains. In this case, every 2 feet we're putting in a main. And we're not putting any 4-foot T's in, because that's the way the rest of the house was done. So that is what you would do. You can also, you can put screws and hang it off of screws and nails. It would support that. It really doesn't have that much weight other than the lights and the insulation. The tile is not heavy, so it doesn't take that much support. Although too much, there's not really a such a thing other than it gets in the way of putting in lights.
Maybe in a great big hospital.
Yeah, when you want to work in there, there's too many wires, but generally you don't have an issue. And I've done it where you hang, use a heavier wire, and you hang. They have a grid that's made for hanging drywall on, and that's a lot of weight. So you can literally hang drywall on it like it's a framed ceiling for like in a house. And I've done that in commercial buildings and such. So anyway, we're just going to keep on putting these lags in. We don't want to bore you with every bit of it. It is boring for you to do, tedious, but it can be done, and that's what we're showing you. It can be done. All right, so one of the things you got to do to support the main is hang wires. That's why they call it suspended sealant, and the wire is about what we showed you, the roll of it, and then this is the length of it. Now what we determined to do on the length is we're going to have like 10 inches that are bent through the hook that we put up on the floor joist. So like about there. We're going to go through that hole in that lag bolt. And then on the bottom we want 16, 18 inches to beyond the bottom or the hanging part of the main. So you would add whatever distance you're hanging from, generally from the lag bolt to the top of the ceiling, which is about 20 inches. So we got basic 20 inches plus 10, 12 plus 16. So let's say 26 plus 20 is 46 inches. So we made a 46 inch long piece of wire, and we're going to bend this 10 inches or so. And we're going to go up here to where the lag is. We're going to go through that hole and let it hang down. Now, what I'm going to do is bend it like so, and then bend around. And then I turn that up. Why do I turn it up? Because if you leave it down, it's possible to pull hard enough or have enough weight to pull it out. Doing it this way, it will not pull out. It might sag. So again, we curled around it and then turned it up. And we're not going to do the bottom until we get the main up here. So, how much weight? Move the bench over here and watch me do it. Yeah. A lot of times you're right in the commercial situation, you're wrapping around a bar joist or something. You don't have to do that. Hook or shoot it up. A lot of times they'll do it. They have it set up where the wire can sit off to the side and they shoot it and the wire's hanging, so they never even have to get off the floor. They just stick that in the pole gun which is quite expensive. And yeah, you're supposed to be licensed to shoot those guns, which it's a license to operate powder actuated tools. They use 22 and 32 caliber blanks to shoot the pin into the concrete above. Even then, they don't always hold. I remember there was this one guy that I was running my mouth at him for a long time. And the ceiling was probably 15 feet high, and ceiling grid was going to be at 10. So all the wire and everything was above him, and he always had his mouth open to get it right where he wanted it, and the pole gun shooting way up above his head. And he's boom. And I kept telling him, I said, man, you're going to end up eating a bunch of concrete. So he come running to us. We were building a wall in there, and he was like, he's coughing up blood. And so what had happened, he didn't tell us for a while because he couldn't talk very well, that he shot that pin up into the concrete. It didn't hold, and that wire came down and went right in his throat and stabbed his throat. He had to go to the hospital. He survived it just fine. He was just as mouthy as, and matter of fact, he had a lot of attitude even after that. But he definitely ate a wire from those. That was a commercial situation. I'm rambling and telling you stories, but yeah, it stabbed him in the throat. He was like a sword eater. Stuck him right in the throat and pulled it out and was bleeding. So he had to go to the hospital for that, amongst many other things. But he also ate concrete from time to time because he always had his mouth open. Yeah, you should listen to, in Mexico.